Have you ever stopped to think that maybe you're praying wrong? No, this is not a criticism. It is an invitation. Because there's something that no one told you. Or if they did, maybe they didn't explain it to you properly. There is a way to connect with God that activates something much deeper than asking. It is a form of alignment, a frequency, and it is in the Bible. But many people go through these verses as if looking at a jewel and think it's just an ordinary stone. Now listen carefully. What you will hear here is not just another content about the law of attraction. It's something different. Because today you will understand what the Bible says, for real, about manifestation. Not in the esoteric sense, but in the spiritual sense. In the original sense, manifesting is not about forcing the universe, it's about aligning with the mind of God. And when that happens, the doors open, realities are shaped, and what seemed impossible suddenly begins to make sense. The question you need to ask yourself is not, why doesn't my life change? But rather, what inside me still doesn't understand how what is already rightfully mine manifests? You're not going to leave. Here with another pretty theory. You will leave with activated consciousness, and if you decide to apply what you hear, you will feel something new happening inside you, because the word is alive, but it only lives in those who decode it. Stay with me until the end, because the last verse is the one that closes the cycle. It is the most powerful, and it will not only surprise you, how you can unlock something that has been stuck inside you for a long time. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, praying, believing, hoping, and yet things don't seem to go anywhere, then this video is for you. Because perhaps what is missing is not strength nor faith, but vision. And vision is what the Bible calls spiritual understanding. And before we follow, take advantage and subscribe here to the channel and leave your like. This helps this content reach more people who, like you, are looking for a real and conscious transformation. Now listen. Have you ever heard that phrase, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you shall say to this mountain, move, and it will move? Surely you have. But maybe no one has explained to you what she really means, because this phrase is not talking about a miracle that happens from the outside in. You are talking about a code that only works when your mind, your emotion, and your vibration are aligned with what you want to manifest. Jesus was not teaching only about faith. I was teaching about focus. And focus is faith in motion. That is why many believe, but few manifest it. Because many have faith, but they don't know where to put it. And loose faith without direction does not create reality. It creates frustration. Now, answer me. How long have you believed in something, waiting for something, desiring something, and this has not yet manifested itself? If this question bothers you, great. It means that there is something inside ready to wake up, because the manifestation begins exactly at this point, when the pain of stagnation becomes the trigger of the decision. And pay attention. What most people call waiting on God is often just fear in disguise. Fear of acting, fear of moving, fear of taking a stand. But the faith that manifests is the faith that vibrates in motion. She feels it before she sees it. Thank you before receiving. Declare before playing. That's it. This is in the Word. In fact, now is the perfect time to tell you something. If you feel that you have something inside you wanting to express itself, manifest itself, expand, click on the link that is in the first pinned comment. It's for you who feel you're ready, but you just need the right way out of stagnation. Trust me, this click can become a key. Returning. There is something profound that we need to understand about manifestation. It is not a formula. It is a consequence. It doesn't just depend on what you want, but on what you're becoming. And that's why the Bible has never separated faith from identity. You do not manifest what you want. You manifest what you truly believe is possible for you, and that changes everything. Because it's no use praying for healing if inside you still see yourself as someone broken. It is no use declaring prosperity if in your heart you believe that you are not worthy. This is where the most ignored key to manifestation comes in: coherence. You need to be consistent with what you declare. Otherwise, your own vibration nullifies your prayer. The Bible says, "As he thought in his soul, so it is." Proverbs 23:7. This is not only beautiful. This is spiritual code. You are what you believe you are, even when no one is watching, even when no one is listening. Your soul is the mold of your reality, and that means this: there is no point in repeating verses as if they were spells. They don't work through the mouth. They work by consciousness, and awareness activates. That's what we're doing here. Revelation comes in layers, and if you've made it this far, you've already begun to move towards something much deeper. And the best is yet to come. Because the next few verses we're going to explore, especially the last one, will show you that the Bible has always spoken of manifestation. You just hadn't seen it with the right eyes yet. The Bible has never been a rule book. It is a vibration manual, an alignment map between the invisible and the visible. But many people read it as if they were reading ancient history and not as someone who decodes a spiritual code. Now listen to that. When Jesus said, "Whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you will receive it, and it will be yours," Mark 11:24. He was not speaking of a passive ask. He was talking about a believer who already carries possession. The verb is in the right tense. It will be yours, because you have already received it inside. The demonstration begins within. That is why so many prayers do not come true, because they are made from the lack. God, give me. Lord, please. Father, I need it. This language is one of need, and lack is the opposite of the vibration of manifestation. Now think with me. If you were absolutely sure that something is already yours, would you ask for it? Or would you simply thank him? The prayer he expresses is not the one he implores. It is the one that vibrates in gratitude for what has already been done. That is why Jesus prayed, saying, "I thank you," even before feeding the crowd, even before raising Lazarus. He didn't ask. He recognized it. This is a demonstration. The big key to Mark 11:24 is that you need to go into prayer as one who already has, like someone who has already received it. And this is not pretense. It is consciousness. It is living faith. It is emotion activated. Because heaven responds to the one who vibrates in faith, not to the one who cries in despair. But this requires something that not everyone is ready to face. You need to change your mental posture. It is no use declaring promises of victory carrying the identity of a loser. It doesn't work. The spirit world does not respond to what you say. It responds to what you emit. Now, feel that one. The second key is in a verse that almost no one associates with manifestation, but it is there, hidden in full light. John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. You've heard that. But perhaps he never understood the dimension of this. Verb, word, frequency, manifestation. The Word is the expression of the divine will in the form of sound, vibration, creation. Everything that exists began with a word. But this word was not just sound. It was pure intention. The Word is the creative consciousness. And now comes the point. You are made in the image and likeness of God, which means that you also carry this power of creative verbalization. When you speak with aligned intention, you create. When you declare with inner conviction, you shape reality. It's not about repeating beautiful words. It's about carrying presence. You can repeat a verse 1,000 times and nothing happens. But you can say a single sentence with full awareness, and the world bends over backwards to respond. The word is more than a word. It is identity vibrating, and that's why Jesus referred to himself as the Word, because he knew who he was. He didn't need to convince the universe. He was the universe in action. And here's the secret. When you align yourself with who you are, you don't ask, you proclaim. And if you're not manifesting, maybe it's because you're trying to achieve something instead of becoming someone else. Because the miracle does not come to those who want it. Come to those who vibrate as if it were already. Are you starting to notice? This second verse breaks a deep belief that you need to deserve it in order to manifest it. But no one needs to deserve what is already part of their essence. You don't fight to achieve what you already are. You just need to remember who you are. True manifestation is a process of remembering. And remember what we said at the beginning? That the final revelation would be the most powerful, so pay attention. Because the verse that comes now, it is what deprograms the mind from scarcity. And when he enters, everything changes. Everything. But first, if this message is stirring something inside, if it is making sense even without you understanding everything rationally, this is a sign that your consciousness is expanding. Click the link in the first pinned comment. This is for those who feel they are ready to live differently. It's for you. Now yes, let's go to the third verse. And it is not a verse that is usually used to talk about manifestation, but it should. Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. This verse, it is a spiritual bomb. He says, in other words, as long as your mind is resigned to what the world says is possible, you will be limited. You can have faith. He can be a good person. You can pray every day. But if your mind is still stuck in a small pattern, nothing will flow as it should. Manifesting is not an act of luck. It is a process of mental transformation. To renew the mind is to get out of autopilot. It is breaking paradigms. It is realizing that you have been conditioned to see yourself as small, to expect little, to fear the future. And all of this disconnects you from the source. But when the mind is renewed, when you start thinking like someone who knows that you are connected to the Creator, when you change the question from, will it work, to, what else is ready to happen in my life? Something will come. Internally, the Bible says, be transformed. This is a call to inner action. And look what comes next, that you may try it. In other words, you only experience manifestation after renewal, and not before. Most people are waiting for life to change and then change inside. But Paul is saying the opposite. Change on the inside and then reality folds. That's why you feel an emptiness even though you're doing everything right. Because deep down, there's still something in you waiting to wake up. And maybe, just maybe, it's this awareness that's birthing right now as you listen. So now the question that echoes within you is perhaps no longer how to manifest, but why wasn't I living like this until now? And this is where the truth appears in all its light. You have not been taught to manifest because you have confused spirituality with passivity. They made you believe that to wait was to be faithful, that to accept everything was to have faith. But accepting is not synonymous with trusting. And waiting many times is just fear that hides behind a religious garb. You weren't born to watch life go by. You were born to rule your reality with consciousness. That is what Jesus did. That is what he taught. And that's what he said we would also do. Greater works than these ye shall do. But no one does major works stuck in small thinking. So understand, the demonstration is not a privilege of a few enlightened people. It's your right. It is a system that is already operating, even if you are not aware of it. The difference between manifesting what you desire and living in the cycle of what you fear is in how you see yourself. You are cause, not effect. And here's what is perhaps the most uncomfortable, but also the most liberating part of it all. Everything you're experiencing today is the result of what you believed was possible yesterday. Everything, including absence, including pain, including that knot that sometimes tightens in your chest when you ask yourself, why does it seem that my life is stopped? It is not punishment. It's not karma. It is not a lack of deserving. It is just the reflection of a mind that was trained to survive and not to manifest. That it was shaped by scarcity, guilt, fear, and not by expansion, connection, certainty. But now you know, and when the truth is acknowledged, it can no longer be ignored. The Bible is a book of expansion. The difference between those who read and live and those who read and remain stuck is in the way they interpret. And now you know that each verse carries a code, a trigger of conscience, a call to activate your faith as a creative presence. Let's recap this in a deep way. Jesus taught us to believe as one who already has, and not as one who begs. He was the Word himself, the living Word, the consciousness vibrating in human form. And Paul revealed that without renewing your mind, you can't even experience God's will. In other words, without internal transformation, there is no external manifestation. These are truths that no one teaches in an ordinary service. Because they defy self-indulgence, they poke at the comfort zone of superficial religiosity. They break down walls. But that's exactly what the Spirit does. He blows where he wants. He breaks where there is surrender. It activates where there is hunger. And if you're here so far, it's because your soul is hungry. And when the soul is hungry, it's no longer about content. It's about revelation. And revelation, my friend, does not allow you to go back to the same mental place as before. It changes the way you see yourself. It changes the way you pray, how you walk, how you decide. After that, you no longer pray asking, you pray declaring. He no longer says, God willing. You say, it is done in perfect timing by the will that is already at work. You don't wait to feel safe to act. You act knowing that security comes from movement. And this is the point. Those who manifest are moved by faith before evidence. That's why you need to watch what you feel when no one is watching, because that's where your reality begins to take shape. You can go on living by reacting to what you see, or you can start creating what doesn't exist yet, but is already real inside you. This is the path of conscious manifestation. And yes, it will bother you. It will take you out of the mental routine that says, this is not for me. I can't do it. My life is really hard. These voices are not yours. They are programs. They are memories that you inherited, but that no longer define yours now, because now you know. And who knows? It has power. Now, imagine what happens if you decide to apply this every day, not as a technique, but as a lifestyle, not as an effort, but as someone who simply chooses to trust what he carries inside. You don't need any more proof. You need practice, and maybe, just maybe, this practice begins with something simple today. Silence, imagine, feel, and declare, not to convince God, but to remind yourself of who you are in Him. Because the kingdom does not come with an outward appearance. The kingdom, it's already inside you. And if you allow yourself to live that, you'll start to realize that manifestation is not an event. It is a state of being. You no longer wait for the miracle to happen. You are the miracle happening. And now, all you have to do is keep the vibration going. Believe before you see. Feel before touching. Be before having. And if this video touched any part of you that was asleep, do the following. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and share this message with someone who also needs to wake up. This is more than a video. It is a calling, and every time you hear that again, something new is going to be activated. Because the truth does not age. It only deepens, and you're just beginning to figure out how far you can go.